Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world with no Spotify, no radio, no concerts, no instruments in a store, no music teachers, no written notes, no recordings of any kind. Now imagine that in that world, music still exists. In fact, music has existed for so long that scientists believe it is older than language itself. The story of how ancient humans created music is one of the most extraordinary and deeply human stories ever told. The first thing you need to understand is that music did not begin with instruments. It began with the human body. Before any ancient human ever picked up a bone or a reed or a hollow log, they already had everything they needed to make music. They had hands, they had feet, they had voices. Clapping, stomping, and singing were the very first musical instruments in human history. And they were perfect. They required no materials, no tools, no construction, just a body and the desire to express something too deep for words. Scientists believe that ancient humans were singing at least 300,000 years ago, possibly much longer. But here is what is truly remarkable: they were not singing randomly. Studies of ancient tribal cultures that still exist today show that singing was deeply tied to specific moments in life: birth, death, hunting, healing, celebration, and worship. Music was not entertainment. Music was technology. It was the most powerful communication tool ancient humans possessed because it could do something spoken language could not. It could make an entire group of people feel the same emotion at exactly the same moment. Think about what that meant for survival. A tribe that could synchronize their emotions, that could feel fear together, courage together, grief together, joy together, was a tribe that could act together. And a tribe that could act together as one unit was a tribe that could survive almost anything. Then came the instruments. And the oldest instrument ever discovered is going to surprise you. In 2008, archaeologists working in a cave in southwestern Germany uncovered a flute carved from the bone of a vulture wing. It had 5 finger holes carefully carved into it. It was perfectly preserved. And when scientists dated it, they found it was over 40,000 years old. 40,000 years ago, an ancient human sat down, took a vulture bone, and carefully carved a working musical instrument. That single discovery shattered everything researchers thought they knew about when human music became sophisticated. But that was not the only ancient instrument found in the same region. Archaeologists discovered another flute carved from the tusk of a woolly mammoth. These were not primitive noisemakers. These were carefully designed instruments that required significant skill and planning to create. Someone had to understand acoustics well enough to know exactly where to place the holes to produce the right sounds. That is not accident. That is knowledge. That is craft. Ancient humans also discovered percussion. They found that different rocks struck together produced different sounds. They discovered that hollow logs produced a deep booming resonance when struck. They stretched animal skins over frames to create drums. They tied shells and bones together to create rattles. Every natural material around them became a potential instrument because their ears were always listening, always experimenting, always asking, "What happens if I do this?" And the music they created was not simple. Researchers who have studied ancient tribal music from cultures that preserve very old traditions found complex rhythms, harmonies, and melodic patterns that rival anything in modern folk music. These were not primitive beats. This was sophisticated musical thinking developed over tens of thousands of years of practice and refinement. There is another dimension to ancient music that science is only beginning to understand. Many ancient musical performances took place inside caves, and researchers discovered something astonishing when they mapped the locations of ancient cave paintings against the acoustic properties of the caves. The paintings were almost always found in the spots where sound resonated most powerfully, where a drum beat would echo and multiply, where a voice would fill the entire space with vibration. Ancient humans were not just painting caves randomly. They were creating sacred sound chambers. They understood that certain spaces amplified music in ways that felt supernatural, and they used those spaces deliberately for ritual and ceremony. Music also traveled. As ancient human groups migrated across continents over thousands of years, they carried their music with them. And when different groups met, they shared their music. Instruments evolved rhythms, combined, melodies merged. Music was one of the earliest forms of cultural exchange in human history, a universal language spoken long before any common spoken language existed. So when you put on your headphones today, and a song makes your skin tingle, or brings tears to your eyes, or makes you want to move, you are not experiencing something modern. You are experiencing something ancient, something that was already tens of thousands of years old before the first civilization was ever built. Your response to music is written into your biology by hundreds of thousands of years of human experience. Music did not come from studios or streaming platforms or concert halls. It came from a human sitting alone in a cave 40,000 years ago, pressing a vulture bone to their lips and breathing life into something that would outlast every empire. Every language and every civilization that came after them. Follow for more stories that connect you to who we really are.